And we're back. Episode 8. He's Isaac.
He's Philip.
This is
Unfiltered Podcast. And today we have a very special guest.
very special.
Miss Hinote.
Hey, everybody.
Miss Audrey Hinote with us this evening, morning, whenever we're doing this.
Whenever you're listening.
That's right.
Yeah.
Morning, night. You know who I feel for sometimes is the overnight workers. You know, like third shift, the people that like work overnight. It's just, man, when do you sleep? How do you sleep? You've never done that, have you?
I haven't done that, no. My husband does that.
Oh, that's right. He wakes up like 1 a.m. and then...
he does. And it's just an adjustment. You know, you change, kind of switch things around a little. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. But you can do it. Hopefully for a season.
Are you more of a morning or an evening person?
I am morning.
Yeah.
I am morning. And I married my evening person. So together we had to figure that out when he wasn't working in the middle of the night. Now he's up earlier in the mornings, which I enjoy that when he's home. I enjoy having him home in the morning. So that's fun.
Well, that's good. We've got Lindsay running the cast over there.
Yo.
She's got a mic. Her sister, Alicia, is here. Say what's
hi.
up.
What's up?
There she goes. Audrey, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Well, I am a mom, a wife, a lover of Jesus, an educator. Who am I? Hopefully that explains most of what I do.
Explains enough right there.
Yep.
You've got a master's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep,
In
I do.
administration. Not education, but administration.
Educational administration,
Oh, so
yes.
it's combined.
It's combined for principalship, yes.
Right on. You're on that track for
I'm on.
principalship.
Yep. If the Lord desires, yes.
Right
I'm
on.
on that track.
I think that'd be a great thing to get into. I want to know, though, something like you listed a couple things there of what you do, but like, what are you passionate about?
What am I passionate about? Well, I really, through just my life and who I am and how I function, I'm passionate to share the hope and the love that's in me that you get from Christ. Share that with others.
Yeah.
It drives what I do, how I think. I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, but I don't know. It's not like I don't also think about other things, but that really is the heart of what I do.
Sure. It's like
how I serve people.
Primary mission in
Yeah.
every area, every role you play, every hat you put on,
Every hat I wear.
every job, it's all done with that mission. And you say that again, it was sharing hope and love that's in you. Is that what you said?
Yep. And it comes through, just being a servant, just being willing to serve others. And certain roles that I wear, I think I'm better at it than others. I think the most important role that I have is within my family. I would say that sometimes is the role that doesn't get the best of me. I wouldn't even maybe say sometimes. I would say, if there is a piece of me that isn't going to get the best, it would be my family. So, and that's hard when you have a job and you're, doing a lot of different things. It's hard to keep your family in the front, even though those are easy things to say. My family's in the front. It's really hard to live that, Yeah.
I've heard before that typically it's the people that are closest to us that get the least of us is the typical way. Because it's like everything else is like we encounter it first and then we get home at the end of the day. And what's left is what we give to everyone around us.
Everyone around us, yeah.
How
that
do
you live with.
How have you learned to save something for home?
Well, it isn't something that I have learned. It's probably something that I continue to learn.
Sure.
I don't know that there's going to be an arrival of that. I don't know if there's a rival there,
Like
I
there's
think
no perfect solution.
No, there isn't. Just like I don't think there's any perfect well, there's no perfect anything. But just in your life, I try to recognize littler things more. We have 4 kids, a 13-year-old who will almost be 14, a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And I can tell as I've had more children, and I give better pieces of myself to my younger kids, because some of those little things that they ask me, I'm way more willing to give myself to that than I was my older kids, because I'm recognizing, hey, these things aren't going to be around forever. And this, in the scheme of your day, isn't going to take more than 30 seconds. Mom, watch me do this. I say yes more than I probably said yes to my boys, but now that my boys are older and teenagers, I mean, their discourse with me is not nearly what it used to be when they were 6. So when they want to talk to me about stuff, I stop and listen. I try to. Those are things that, maybe I would say I have learned, but it's a continual. It's continuous. I continue to grow and learn in that way. So
because there's no arrival.
There isn't.
Because you're never done.
You're
growing and
you're
learning.
Never done. No.
That makes me think of so many things.
Yeah.
Like, I wrote no arrival to now I'm mature, now I'm grown, now I'm smart, now I'm done. I've accomplished, because it's like Tom Brady. We talk about Tom Brady every now and again. We think he's the GOAT of football. Mm-hmm. Maybe not of the other areas of life. We don't know that. Can't make any assumptions,
Right.
But it's like he won 1 ring, and it's like, well, let's go get another one, because he's not done.
He's not done, yeah.
He just signed a contract to play through 2022 because he's not done. It's like, in a football professional career, you're never done, right? And that's just an example of we constantly do that. Like, oh, I'm on varsity now. Or, but in like much smaller, obviously varsity.
Right, yeah.
Super Bowl is not the same, but.
Well, it's just like that in life, I guess, and it wouldn't matter what area it would be in our, relationship with our spouse. I don't think I can ever be the best wife. I don't think I can. I just will continue to try to be a better wife every single day. I don't think I can be the best mom. I don't think I can do everything right as a wife, or everything right as a mom, or everything right as an employee, or everything right through the eyes of Christ. I think that is really where that comes from. There's no work or amount of works that will make you righteous enough to even be, worthy of his love.
Amen.
So that example, I guess, just shows us that there isn't any place of arrival anywhere. So
Oh man, I'm tingling over here. This is good. Okay. I don't even know. We can go so many places. Where do you want to go right now?
Well, it reminds me of something I've heard you say before, which is about developing a continual growth mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we'll definitely dig into. And I think it's important, and what we try to do, it seems to me, is like not just give conceptual, but give practical elements of how we can do those things too. And I just wanted to identify that in that first little segment we did there. One of the things I feel like I hear you saying is that you have grown in the way of valuing moments.
yeah.
And I'd be interested in hearing more about that, but we don't have to go that direction.
Well, so just as it kind of helps you to know just really what I'm like, I guess. So as a human, I'm a very task-oriented person. Give me a list, check, 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 check. Well, relationships don't work that way. And they're not boxes to check.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not. So I've really had to learn that and grow in that area. And figure out what it means. Like, valuable relationships are formed and, carried through and sustained, maybe is the right word, through time. I mean, and like I said, really your relationship with Christ is just like that. You know more about him when you read his word, when you spend time in his presence. That's how you form a relationship with Christ. And those things are what bring valuable relationships to you here on earth, with your spouse, with your kids. So I really had to take that task piece of me and reflect that first was who I am and kind of how I roll,
Is task driven more than relationship driven?
For me, is it more than that? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't really know what you're asking.
Like a greater than or equal to, if your husband says, hey, will you do this for me? Like a favor for him versus like when you make your own list of, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. Which are you more likely to get done?
I would now.
Yes.
Now, today, yeah. I would do what he asks me.
Is that a learned response? Or is that a natural servanthood nature of yourself?
Well, that I would say is me too. I'm a natural servant. I think I am. Yeah, I think I am.
Knowing what field you're in and what you've done.
I think that's why. Sure. And I really like to please. I don't want to make anybody upset or disappointed. But I don't see task versus relationship as greater than, less than. Sure. I see them as just different. Because greater than, less than makes me think one is more or less valuable. And I think they're both valuable. I don't.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, but I've had to, I've had to really learn not to value the things, the tasks, or not to put a lot of, put as much emphasis in that. That does not mean I'm perfect at it. People that know me really well, they listen to this, they'll be like, yeah, maybe she does that one day a week. I mean, honestly, it's hard. It's a struggle. It's just like when you struggle with anything, mm-hmm. You have a tendency to be who the way you are. And so it's a constant effort, to do that. So
how do you stay mindful of that? Do you ever feel yourself like kind of slipping back to wanting to do tasks? What are some of the things you do to stay in that place of intentionally giving effort to relationships?
What do I do? Well, I just have it. I just remember it. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what I do. I'm not sure that I could even say because, also things have to get done. Mm-hmm. They have to get done. So tasks must be accomplished.
Sure. For
a lot of purposes when you're running a house and having a job. But I just have to be I have to be mindful of it. I don't know if reading or, listening to things makes me more mindful of it, but I definitely notice more the pieces of, like my kids. Like I said, I just notice that more when they ask me about something or ask me to watch them do something or will you do this for me or whatever. Often I try to make it yes. So.
And that's something because you've grown in that.
Well, I do remember an instance when I was really frustrated with one of my kids for something. And I heard, and I even remember where I was in my basement coming out of my laundry room. And I heard these words, children are a gift. Mm. And I was like, yep, mm-hmm. I hear that. I was frustrated at that point with something. I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing that. And I was like, yep, I gave these kids to you. They are a gift. And so how do I get myself to that place to hear his words? Mm-hmm. You got to know what they say. You got to know what the words are. Right now, I would say my study life, as far as reading the Word of God, isn't what I would want it to be. That doesn't mean I don't hear him. It's ebbed and flowed over the years. flowed. Is that the right word? I don't know. I'm a teacher.
We'll allow it.
All right. Math coach. So anyway, but that you got to know what his words say. Yeah. You have to spend time with him. You got to know his heart. And when you do, you hear him talk to you and tell you things like that,
Absolutely.
So,
which on the concept of no arrival and that relationship with Christ, like we're called to be like him. C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, says like we're called to be little Christs. Mm-hmm. But then totally says that you're not going to achieve that.
Right.
But you're supposed to try. That to me is a growth mindset. That to me is, which I'm just going to flash it right here. Carol Dweck, the mindset book. You gave this to me.
Yep.
You've given this to other parents.
Yep.
Not teachers, but parents.
Well, our teachers have all read that book I think in our whole district, actually. Yep.
So they're all aware of it. Was
this
something that you yourself discovered, or was this just
it
presented
was,
to you?
Yep, it was. And we did a book study of that book as a staff at the elementary. And I think since the other buildings have also done it, that was when I was an elementary teacher in the classroom. And then, we kind of took that and it's really the mantra of our elementary school at this point, because, our values and our behaviors of our school at the elementary are really focused around growth, continuous growth, no arrival growth.
Yeah.
And so a year ago in the fall, a colleague of mine and we put together a class with the help of Boost. Thank you, Boost. I need to say that.
Absolutely.
So all of our Boost people, they made that possible for us, and gifted our parents a book.
Wow.
Of the mindset book.
Nice.
And we had daycare. We were able to pay for daycare. We were able to feed them. So we made it a family-friendly event at the elementary school.
Nice.
And we also purchased some mindset books, children's books, that we let them choose at the end, and gave to families. But we really just wanted parents we wanted to share our learning with parents. That this is really what we believe here. We're going to continuously help your kids learn and grow. And it doesn't matter if it's reading, math, behavior, getting along with others, being respectful to adults. It doesn't matter what it is, but we want to help your kids be the best version of themselves. So that was the learning that we did with them.
So a lot of what I'm hearing you say already seems like it's coming from a principle of growth is possible.
Yeah.
Versus being in the opposite, which is a fixed mindset, which means this is the way I am and I can't change.
Yep.
Which, just to summarize the book, on Audible, there's a 40-minute summary of this book. If you're listening and you're curious, you can go purchase that very cheaply, or you can listen to the book, or best is just to buy and read the book.
It.
Read the book.
So I want to go into that a little.
Please do.
Because with growth mindset, it's pretty easy to put value in growth and not so much value in fixed. It's easy to do that. We have since just gone back through Dweck's research and some of the things that she was talking about.
Carol S. Dweck, right?
Carol Dweck, yeah.
And PhD, do you know in what exactly for her? No? Not important. Dweck.
Probably behavioral science or something
like that.
Something.
Do you want me to look it up?
In our last, maybe, sure. Do it. In our last conversation, you said Dweck, and it took me a couple times to catch on and I realized, it's the author of the book.
The author of the book.
Took me a second, but now I got it.
Yeah. So she has clarified, in more recent articles, things like fixed isn't bad. Fixed isn't less.
It's not bad.
Fixed isn't less than growth. You have to know, what do you want about yourself to be growth mindset oriented? What are some things that you would want to be fixed? I mean, it's not better or worse, but with regard to learning, you want to know that there's always a thing you can learn.
Sure.
All right. So that was a misconception that she felt like people maybe took away from her work.
Interesting.
Yeah. And rightly so, because it is presented in such, I can see how it would in the book be presented in that way. But there's certain things that I'm pretty fixed about. I guess I wouldn't say, like, who do I serve? Jesus. I'm
fixed, not changing,
not
going away.
Going to change.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that actually reminds me of a conversation I had this morning with a guy, and we were talking about like where we get truth from. And I think truth is something that should be fixed in us. Like, that's not going to change. We're not going to give that up. We're not going to, give ground on that. But what is determining our truth, and how true is it?
Yeah.
I think, that, I don't know, that would be something that I think if you're fixed on the right thing, then that's a good thing. But if you're fixed on the wrong thing, then that's going to be a detriment.
Well, and just so you have to be able to reflect on that. Constantly ask yourself that question. Am I fixed on the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I not fixed on the right thing? Do I need, that's being reflective, continuous growth. I mean, those pieces are, I think, what adds value to your life. And knowing that fixed is not bad, but you just have to put it in the context of where it needs to be. It's not better or worse.
You just made that way bigger than I thought it was, which is both exciting and annoying to me, but I'm excited about it, truly. The annoyance is like, I think I had it figured out, and then it's like, oh, now there's 11 more layers to dive into,
but here's the deal.
Which is good.
There isn't ever a figure it out.
And that's
I'm sorry to,
what you need to beat through my thick skull over here is like, I want to come to a place of arrival.
Yeah.
I want to come to a place where, I've got it now.
Yeah, you're not going to ever got it.
No.
Sorry.
And I need to probably let that really, really, really get into me. But, which is silly because all I do all day is tell people about how health is a journey and it's a spectrum and it's constantly moving and wavering and you have to protect it on a day in, day out basis, and that here I am in a fixed mindset.
But think about this. You were taught all the things that are coming out of your mouth at your job to your people. You were taught that. Okay? But there's a difference between having it here and having it here.
Sure.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So some of those things are going to have to seep. They're going to have to go down a little bit and, really, but I don't know the way to figure that out. There's no quick fix. You just have to live and grow and learn, and it gets deeper and deeper in your core. And then that's what, I don't know, that's how it becomes who you are.
Sure. When it gets here.
Yeah.
And escapes
here. Because, Pastor, we could probably ask you any old theological thing, and it could come from here. There's just things that, educational things would come out of my brain. Physical things would come out of yours. But it's different when it's in your core.
Heart,
yeah.
So while you were talking about that, I had the thought, like, is continual growth a process of fixating things on what they should be fixed on and removing fixations that shouldn't be there?
Well, yeah, isn't that our journey with Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
It's determining truth and fixating on that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what continual growth is.
Yeah, right.
Adjusting what I have fixed and not fixed.
The reason that professionally, I really believe that just learning about this with Carol Dweck was really resonated with me is because I could also relate it to my spiritual journey, and that there are not a lot of professional literature books, I would say, that I can really draw both things together. Does that make sense? So that's what really added value to my life, and how I thought about things. It gave me a secular context, really, for all of the the Christian things that I believed. So.
Say that again.
Well, there's not scripture references in this book, but I can draw spiritual truth from it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one thing that makes it really powerful to share.
Good, for sure. Now, you said that you read this book after you had your boys, but before you had your girls.
Before the girls were really bigger. Yes. So
getting into the practical nature of this.
Yep. So that it has changed just how I think about raising kids, really. With the boys, and this is just really for me, I really felt like their choices and their behavior and their just how they acted and all of the things that people could, see from them. I really felt like that was a reflection of me. Okay. So, I would even remember saying, no child of mine would ever, do X, Y, Z, fill in the blank, something that's undesirable. No child of mine is going to throw a fit in the cereal aisle. No child of mine is going to, act up at a restaurant. Absolutely not. I mean, I was really, now that doesn't mean that the boys were better behaved and my girls aren't better behaved, but I've changed how I think about that now, where, if they struggle in something, it's more of a, let's move you from here to here. Let's move you forward, but not from a, you're never doing that again, so help me. That was really kind of my attitude, very authoritative, really, when the boys were smaller is kind of how I rolled as a mom. And not so much that way with the girls. More letting them, giving them more choice, letting them make, not mistakes, but decisions, and helping them understand that their decisions had, consequences, good or bad. Consequences, unfortunately, I think in our world now, that's a negative, that's a negative word. Consequences are bad. They're not. They're just, cause and effect. They're just what happens because of a decision, really. So with the girls, they're learning on their own way more than the boys did. The boys were told because I told them. The girls, there's a little more productive struggle with them, and just how they roll. And and my kids are all different. So, some of that leans a little more towards their personalities too. Not good or bad. They're all different. God doesn't make any of us the same. And one of the great joys of being a parent is figuring out that he gives you, same parents, different kids, with something that for you to learn too as an adult.
When my sisters were here and they did a podcast with me, they talked about how you can't parent different kids the same way. Like each one deserves a little twist. Mm-hmm. You can't just throw them in a mold and expect them to all shoot out the other end this pristine little thing.
Yep.
Agreed, right?
Completely agreed. And I would say from my own experience, I really tried to parent my two boys the same.
You did?
I tried. Yeah. And then we had our first girl, and I tried to do the same thing for her that I did with the boys because it worked in my brain. Well, they're not the same, and it really wasn't until we had our oldest daughter that I was like, wow, this isn't going to it's not the same. They have to be treated differently, and the help with changing my mindset on just parenting. I mean, I think I had a fixed mindset about being a parent. And, that was something that really, Dweck's work helped me really reflect and think about that as a mom. Like, your children are not the same. Of course I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know that. That's the difference. I knew it here. Of course they're not the same. No humans are the same, but I didn't know that in my core.
Yeah.
And just, God's grace, I feel it's always God's grace, but he gives me all of these, different children. And here is one, Audrey, that, is really going to help you learn that they need different things because I did not create them the same. So,
do you know how middle kids have the stereotype of being more difficult or more rebellious?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a firstborn. I'm a thirdborn.
You're a baby.
I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Right. So
because that's different than a thirdborn. Because I have a thirdborn.
But he's third in line of four.
She. Third and fourth.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Ava.
I have I have a. So yes, you're the baby. You're the youngest.
Yep.
I'm the oldest.
Yep. So, okay, lots of questions here, okay? Because I want to know about the dynamic of being a firstborn and how, if that shaped you versus what you see in your...
Yeah.
If there's a personality trait that came with you being a firstborn. My mother-in-law was here, and she had a book called the Birth Order Book, and it went into just the attributes that tend to come when you're first, second, third, fourth, whatever you are. But my real question is like, the question raised in me is, Kate, you had your firstborn. You did things this way. Some things worked, some things didn't. So then you have your secondborn, and then you try the same things that worked on the secondborn, but then like that's almost parents trying to fit the second kid into a mold that was pre-established.
Yep.
So it's like you try these things, and then a lot of them fail because the kid isn't the same.
In our case, I think because of the nature of our secondborn, which is our youngest son, he's really go with the flow, actually. So, there are some things that, he wasn't gonna do or be or weren't gonna work, but not very many.
Sure.
I mean, even now, we don't hear a lot out of him as far as like, he's just go with the flow. Everything's okay. If he needs something, we have to ask him, and our other kids aren't always that way. And that's not right or wrong, but he's such a blender.
Yeah.
He could fit anywhere, So what I tried on him, the way I raised, and I shouldn't say it's a joint effort, but I just recognize my own change in myself, as a mom, but, just how, I handled both of the boys was really the same for the most part.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the parents' fixed mindset of from first kid to second kid contributes to the second kid personality type.
And maybe it does.
Maybe it's parents who contribute to the rebellious natures because you've tried to force this kid into a mold that isn't true.
Secondborn over here is nodding her head.
Oh, okay.
We just had a good conversation with my oldest and my secondborn, actually, just this week. And like I said, we don't hear a lot, So when he started to talk, I was like, everybody be quiet. We're gonna listen to what he has to say.
Yep.
And it just was with reference to, everybody. I'm going to generalize, this, but this is what he was getting at. People who know them both, when you're second, you come in a shadow-ish, and they have other people that know the oldest. They have a preconceived idea of what you should be like. But you're not that. But you're not that. So sometimes, I mean, that if you have somebody that it isn't because they don't like their sibling. It's just because they are different. But everybody else that knows their sibling, knows their parents or whatever, has an idea of what you should be like. And you're not that way. You're different. So I was like, that's powerful. And we got to listen to that.
And I think that's a growth mindset right there.
It is
the ability to listen to that and then let the go with the flow happen.
Yep.
And that there could be potentially, I would even go so far to say there's danger in having a fixed mindset of trying to get all your kids to be the same. And well, this kid was good at this. He walked at 1 year and 1 month. Why is it taking you 15 months? Well, maybe this one's not as smart. And then, maybe this one's not as gifted. And
Yep. So, that is, it starts when they're that little. And I, just with where you are with your family, I mean, I know where that's coming from too. we had that with our boys. You know, one was walking really soon, and the other one was a year and wasn't really talking at all. Wasn't because he wasn't going to talk. It was, you know, he just wasn't ready to do that.
So you needed to stay open and just let it happen.
Yeah,
Don't try to hurry it along.
Nope.
Don't try to rush it.
But I did.
Let it be.
I tried to rush it. That was me when my boys were toddlers. I always wanted them to do the next thing. You know, I was like, come on, let's do this. Well, I think it goes back to, my kid's 9 months and walking. I mean, it came back to be about me, really.
A reflection of you as a parent.
Well, a reflection of me as a human. You know, my kid walked at 9 months.
Yeah.
My kid was talking my kid doesn't need a pacifier.
Oh, I must be killing it then.
Because?
Because it's all about me. Well, I did so good.
I did so good.
I did something right.
Yeah, look how good I am.
Right.
Right.
So them walking at 9 months was a reflection of your success.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Versus,
just not they're different. Yeah.
What part do you think the interconnectivity of the world today plays a part in parents feeling like they need to check boxes with their kids at a certain time in a certain way, like comparison of this is what everyone else says my kid should be at this stage or how they should act in this situation?
We have a lot of things playing against people just letting things be how they're supposed to be. You know, just everybody is in the world of comparison right now. I don't even think comparison is bad, but if you see it as not being equally yoked, then I think it is bad. Comparison is just different. It's just different. It's just a comparison. It's not good or bad. It's not better or worse. It's different. And
it's like, oh, well, if I see you on Instagram and it's like you did this trip and I see you speaking and you're having these awesome clips and you're changing people's lives, it's like, well, he's really good at that and I'm not as good.
Yeah.
And then now I take this character default, like, well, I'm not as good of a public speaker as you are. I could never change as many lives as you can, you know? And so now I'm like, I've defaulted myself because I had a fixed mindset of my own instead of coming at it. See this? Man, I'm excited about this growth mindset. If I open myself up, I can grow. I can improve my level.
But also thinking about, like, you have a platform. I believe we all have a platform to improve, to a platform to share what we know about improving just our life here on earth. So he's at some place. I'm just referencing you for, an
you are
example.
Good at public speaking.
For example's
sake. So he's got a place where a lot of people get to see. Well, then really, we be excited about God's work through that. You have a place too. I have a place too. We all have. That is how we are different.
Yeah.
And just because, numbers aren't really a reflection of better or worse in that comparison, but people do see it like that. Like, oh, that was thousands of people that you were able to, to preach to or whatever. Yeah. It's only one at a time in my work. Well, it's the same. It's a platform to share what we know, to share our light, the light that's in us, and it's good that you have that avenue.
Yeah.
And it's good that everybody has their different places. Right. That's good.
I agree. It makes me think about, like, making the same goal for everybody, how that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I guess in a spiritual sense, I would say, like, if you're a believer and you believe in Christ and you follow Christ, then you have the same end goal, which is him.
Yeah.
And we already said, I mean, that's a process of growth all along our life.
Yep.
But when it comes to us as individuals and how we've been created to do individual things, because, I mean, I'm created for something different than you are.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
It is.
Because otherwise we'd be in competition all the time. When we understand we have different ends, I think we can celebrate the differences instead of comparing in a negative way.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think comparison has to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, but I do think the world sees it that way.
Sure.
As better, worse. I think the world sees it more as a hierarchy, which it doesn't. Of course, it's not like that in God's eyes. So it's just we're all here to do the same work, really, and we all have different ways that we're going to do that. And back to being a parent, the same is true for your kids. There is this children's book by Joanna Gaines, "The World Needs Who You Were Meant to Be." I think is the title of it. I need to buy one. I need to start giving it as a baby gift, actually. But the world does need who you were created to be.
Yeah.
Who you were created to be. The world needs that. Everybody has that in them. And the world will be better because of it. And we're not going to be the same. There's scripture about that.
Yep.
The body of Christ isn't all the same. They're all every piece of the body of Christ is different to serve a different purpose, but collectively together, the same goal.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the checkbox thing we were talking about earlier again, and how, I think if we make the success or failure of like the end the same, dependent on if you check and fit this mold or fit this image, I think that's where it gets dangerous. Like equity of outcome, I think is a dangerous thing, because then everybody's the same.
Right.
And that's not good, not productive. I think about...
It was never the design.
Right.
It was never the...
Well, I think about too, like how we were discussing earlier, there are some things that are good to be fixed, but there are other things that shouldn't be. And what I'm thinking of right now is like vehicles, or like, to give a physiological example, like the human body. I mean, we all need systems in our body to all be working, to be healthy. I mean, if you're going to be healthy, like you need your heart, you need your lungs, you need your nervous system to be working. But someone who, works a job where they're out on a maybe construction site and they're hauling cement bags all day, they're going to need a different set of muscular endurance than someone who is not doing that.
Sits at a desk all day.
And so there's a different need there. Yep. While there are the fixed things, like we all need these to be working in order to be successful.
Yeah,
we do have variation too.
Right. Based on your different, just your
calling.
differences. Yeah, right.
So you have to recognize, I think, the calling to grow toward that.
Well, and I think reflection, accurate reflection. I don't know if accurate's the right word. Adequate. You need a certain amount of reflection. You need to think about. Those are things you have to think about, and I ask God, help me see what I don't see. Because when I said accurate, I don't know if that's the right word, because, I'll reflect in the way that I kind of want to reflect. Sometimes I don't want to see what I don't want to see.
Like honest reflection.
Honest reflection, yes. Like I want to see, I do want to see the things that are not like him. I do want to see that. But you have to slow down to be able to do that, So just because that's something that I've recognized, it's taken me I have to think about that, and you have to give yourself space to do that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Some people may not see it like that with, even their physical jobs, or they might not see it that way. They haven't taken time to slow down and think about where I am, and think about where I want to be, and think about what is valuable, and then pursue growth.
How do you think people should do that? Like when? Like right now, today, that just went out on the airwave. I'm 20. How old am I? 29 years old. When should I take time in my day to sit down, think about what I'm thinking about what I value, think about what I'm fixated or growing on? You know what I mean? Yeah,
because what I think you're getting at is, I have all of these demands. I am a father. I am a husband. I am I own my own business. You're talking about the demands that you have in your life. Mm-hmm. I think it has to happen when you think it should. And because we're busy, we are all doing the same. We're all wearing a lot of hats. We have to use our moments wisely. So I'm going to speak for myself. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I like to do is when I get to work early, when I was in the classroom, I would think about that in the morning. I'd walk in my classroom, look at the desks of the kids in my room, think about what did I need to be for them today. It happened for me in the morning. I think you have to figure that out. I think you have to figure that out for yourself. You know, where am I going to put that in? And it can be in all of the little spaces of your day that aren't full. I mean, it can be in that. You know, it's just like having a relationship with Christ. When do I pray? When do I talk to him? Well, what's your idea of prayer? You know, is your idea of prayer sitting in a closet with the lights off and your eyes closed or is your idea of prayer just conversation with God? Like you have to, when your idea, or when you learn that that's also prayer, then you can fit that into all the spaces of your life. When I drive back and forth from one school to another now, that's something that I reflect on, you know. So you got to put it, you have to be intentional on putting that into your day and know that it needs to be there.
Intentional was a word running through my mind, because that was the word that came to mind when you described what you do. Is you have intentional time where you shift your focus onto something specific.
Yeah, but also, yes. So what I just referenced was all my job. So in me just thinking and reflecting on that right now, what I didn't reference was really the things I told you at the beginning of this podcast were the most important things to me. Me being a wife, me being a mom. When do I do that?
When do you do that?
Well, I don't know. As I'm thinking about that right now, that's something that I don't know when I do that. It is,
to me, it's very much harder, because when you're home, the demand is to be present and be with the person, mm-hmm. and to be thinking about them or whatever you're doing together. So it's like, well, you can't be thinking about two different things at one time, or else you're not really present in either.
Right.
So it's almost harder to do it at home for me, I feel like I need some isolated time. Like, mm-hmm. I've got to tell my wife, love you, babe, but I got to go do this.
Yeah.
So that I can be better when I'm engaged again.
And knowing that sacrifice of time is actually to benefit the whole, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's hard.
I feel like I have something to contribute to this. I would say the element of assessing who you are and who you're supposed to be and what it will require to come into line with that. I would say for me, and I would assume other believers, that is part of your prayer life, because who I am is so tied into who Christ is. And so it's, we could call that consecration. Lord, I'm giving myself over to be like you. And so that is an aspect of prayer. I do that in the morning, and one thing I find myself praying often, and I make that distinction to say that if someone's not a believer, then it's going to look different. It's not going to be prayer, but it would still probably be assessment of mm-hmm. what's my goal, what's the end that I believe I should be stepping toward, and how do I assess where I'm not fixated correctly and adjust that. But for me, because I believe Christ is that, that's my prayer. So I do that in the morning because I think it helps to make that distinction early on that today this is who I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm committing to being this and to living this, and that's me today. So I start that way. And I think the other thing I do is I take time when I drive. Often I'll just same thing, like pray, and I just kind of speak out, in this aspect of life. Lord, help me. Mm-hmm. Remind me, show me mm-hmm. How to be like you in this, like what would Jesus do, right? How can we be like him? So I think it is that. And I think the morning's a great time to do it just because it's like, you don't have hours of day already lived where you're looking back and thinking, well, missed it there, and we do miss it. But
and then in those moments when you miss it, then because I kind of find myself in a more of a reactive way sometimes, like I missed it. What did I miss?
Let's refocus.
What did I miss? Tell me what did I miss? Sometimes because I'm so task and so just oriented that way, I hear nothing when I say the words, what did I miss? Silence. And I'm like, ooh, okay, silence is bad. So why am I hearing silence? Silence. I'm like, oh boy, I think I'm too big. Like there's something going on. Yeah. I mean, I'm not hearing I'm not hearing something. So you got to stop. And
I'll say that's the other thing I like about the morning is like, I'm not loaded with other stuff already. Like I think it's easier to just be present with that because I don't have other things going on. And I think as we grow, we learn and develop a prayer life where it's more constant.
Yeah.
Pray without ceasing.
But still, I mean, it's really easy to say. It's really easy to say all of this, like, study when you get up in the morning, pray in the morning, pray when you drive. It's easy to do that. It takes a choice. I mean, you have to be disciplined actually to make that, to enact that, and that sometimes is hard. And that's where you miss the boat. That's where I miss the boat a lot. I'm not always disciplined to get up and do that first thing in the morning. Or all the time, or when I make a bad decision. I'm not always disciplined to reflect, Yeah,
I would say this about that. I recognize, and this is just my experience with it, but the times that I haven't been as consistent with that and the change that I've seen, typically for me, the change is associated with realizing my dependence. Like, coming to believe that I really need this to live like to do what I'm supposed to do. I have to do this. And so
you have to have,
with the understanding of dependence increasing, it increases my action as a response to that dependence.
I would say one of the things I struggle with the most is depending on myself. I'm complete. It's like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. And if people know me listening to this, they'll be like, oh yeah, she's like that. She doesn't need anything from anybody. It's like, I got this. Well, I don't got this, but I fall into that over and over and over again. Maybe not always the same way. But that's often where I fall, in that. I just think I got it. I can handle it. Well, I can't handle it. I mean, I can think of a lot of things right now that I'm behaving like
I got it.
I got this.
Yeah, you got it till you don't.
I got it till I don't. And I know I don't. See, that's back to what's up here needs to be in my core. Yep. So there are some things that I'm like, in my core, I know I don't got this.
Sure.
But in my head, there are some things that I'm like, yep, I do. I mean,
I'd say it's the same with like prayer or study or meditation or whatever a person listening does. But it's like, I know up here that I need to do it, but do I believe it?
Yeah. Here? Is it in my core?
Not in the mic, but
yeah.
The other thing I do, just to share a little more, I think that is great for day in, day out. Like that helps me with the, daily involvement. But then I set reminders in my phone like a couple times a year to just like take a morning and reflect on general like life direction. Where am I going? How am I getting there? Like I kind of shared about that around New Year's. Like New Year's isn't really like the magic day where if you set a goal on New Year's, you're going to fix it all. And I mean, you can't just, I'm a different person today because it's a new year. No, you're not.
Yeah.
But it is a good time to reflect on where am I going?
Right.
And what do I need to change to move effectively toward my goal?
And can you sustain it? Sometimes you set such lofty goals, and I'm just speaking really for myself, but it's like, you can't sustain that. You can't sustain being present all the time. You can't sustain being reflective all the time. Right. Or what could you do to sustain it? Being able to sustain change is hard. Yeah. It takes discipline. And when, what can you sustain? That's something I've learned in my, smaller things are easier to sustain, of course. But when I was young, I was going to set huge goals and not be able to sustain it, Right. So that's something you really have to think about.
That prompts in me the discussion about prioritizing, like growth, because I'm thinking about like New Year's, and if New Year, I just like thought, I'm going to just change it all this year. I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to read this much, and I'm going to do
I'm going to eat healthy
20 things.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you're not going to do any of that.
No, by January 5th,
you're going to get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. So do you have any thoughts to prioritizing growth?
It's honestly it's a process for me, just like it is for anybody. It's choosing small things, but that's the educator in me too. You have to have a scaffold to where you want to be. So you have to prioritize, maybe it's what's the lowest hanging thing, the easiest thing to fix. Start there. Or what's the thing that you need to fix the most? Start there. Now I can easily just say that. That's because that's what I do for my job. What do we need to change? Okay, what do we need to learn? And the goal is here. So how do I scaffold them to get there? We're not going to be fluent readers or proficient in math when they come in August. It's a journey. How am I going to provide them with enough support to get them there by the end of the year? It's just a little bit at a time. But I just have general things to say about that. It takes discipline to enact that, But it is in the nature of what I do for my job. So
there's probably not like one formula. It's, I'm sure, very individualized.
Well, it should be, because nobody's the same.
Right.
And nobody's at the same place. So it shouldn't be the same.
It's not mechanistic.
No.
Yeah.
It's
highly variable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Individualized. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a different,
So do you think every person needs a teacher in their life?
Yeah.
All through life?
Yes. And through the form of the word teacher, mentor, parent, grandparent, they're all teachers. Mm-hmm. Teacher is just somebody that has something to offer you. A learner is somebody that's has their heart in the place to change and reflect. I think we're all teachers and learners. All of us are, in our different ways.
You're constantly putting out something that another person can analyze.
Yep.
And you're constantly taking in information and processing.
Yep.
And
as
updating.
A learner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Subconsciously, it's happening. So
yep.
you might as well just transmit some of that to a conscious mindset and learn more.
Yep.
If you want to.
Well, and I think knowing that can make you cautious about what you're teaching and what you're receiving. Because if you recognize that what I am putting out there is teaching other people a pattern, a truth, or whatever, and what I'm putting in is growing something inside of me, a truth, a pattern, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to be more cautious about what I say.
Right.
I'm not going to say as many silly things as I used to. And I'm going to be careful about what I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guard your ear and eye gates.
And your mouth.
And your mouth gate. Guard what goes out, guard what comes in.
That's right.
Have you ever seen the Mission Impossible movies?
If I have, I probably took a nap.
Anyway.
That isn't because I don't think they would be valuable. It's just because I kind of do that during a movie if it's not animated.
That's fair. I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to reference the movie for an analogy, because this is the way the brain works here. Yeah. Okay. Mission Impossible #3. Ethan Hunt's cover is he works for the DOT, because he's actually a super secret, awesome spy agent guy. Okay. But then he's describing his job, his fake job, and he says you can track someone who taps the brakes. You can track the ripple effect of that for miles, because that one person tapped their brakes and then the next car had to react to it and the next car had to react to it. The next car had to react to it. And I think so many times about like, you know, when I choose to stop at a red light instead of zooming through it, like how many interactions that changed behind me and in front of me, let alone like what you choose to do in a day and the things you run into. Like the other day I took the trash out of my office, so I had to make an extra trip back in, and then came out to my car, and then at that moment someone drove by that I knew and they pulled over and they stopped and talked to me that I would have missed had I not taken the trash out. I think about that all the time, and how many of those things are, I mean, we don't have to go too deep on this, but whether it's chance or if it's all God ordained or if it's some God ordained or what the balance is there, you know. I don't really want to talk about that right now. That's a deep topic that I'm not wholly convicted on one way or the other. My point when saying all that was I have a quote on the wall that says, "You never know how far-reaching something you think, say, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow." And that one has really stuck with me, is in this conversation where we're talking about guarding your eyes and your ears and your mouth now, because that's usually left out, is protect yourself, guard what comes in, don't let yourself be corrupted. But I mean, don't let yourself corrupt.
Yeah. I'd say too, like when you are guarding what comes in, you won't have to guard what goes out as much.
Yeah.
That's good balance. Yeah.
Put in clean comes out. Put in junk comes out.
The same principle with food, by the way. Put in clean food, you get good energy out.
Did that for you.
Thanks. Put in good energy, you get out good energy.
Yep.
Thanks. It's just that's just a truth. That's a truth that you should fixate on and accept that this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And then grow in it.
Yep.
Was that
All
good?
about growth.
Did we just come full circle right there?
We did.
That's how you know you've done a good podcast right there. Which, not that we're done. We're only an hour and 2 minutes in. No one's tired, right? Refills, coffee, water.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I have a question. Do you have any final thoughts on that?
No.
Or either of you? I didn't cut you off, did I?
No,
Not
you
at all.
didn't cut me off.
Okay.
Nope.
Your second kid. you commented how you're all Hawkeye fans at home, except this one's a Cyclone.
He's a Cyclone.
Yeah, go State.
Good for him.
Shh.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
We've encouraged him to be different, and by we, I think it took some convincing. But when the Cyclones were good at basketball a few years ago, they were way more fun to watch than the Hawkeyes. So we actually had fun as a family cheering on both teams.
Nice.
You know, 5 out of 6 of us will cheer for the Hawks when they play the Cyclones. You know, he's the lone wolf on his own. Yep.
Movies, guys. Okay. I watched Batman Begins last night. I just threw it on and it was in the background. Okay. I'm going to use another analogy. Thanks for bearing with me. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Not killing you here. Batman Begins. Fascinating movie. Because at the end of it, there's like chaos in the city. Okay. And so like Arkham Asylum got emptied and there's all these criminals running in the street. So Batman has to go clean up the streets. And the lieutenant says to Batman, he goes, "Aren't you worried about escalation? You're a guy running around in a mask. What's that going to prompt in response? We buy semi-automatic guns to protect ourselves and protect the people. They buy automatic guns. We buy Kevlar. They buy armor-piercing rounds. Escalation." And it's just, which in the Batman movies, that happens. Batman prompts the sequence of events that becomes, you know, the trilogy of movies and the character arc. It's fascinating. If you're not looking for it, I mean, you should look for it. But you on board with that? Sure. Carter. Oh, I said his name. I wasn't going to say his name. He chose to be different. He chose to make a wave against the rest of the family. Do you have a concern about escalation? What could come next after that? Well, it's like, well, my whole family says I shouldn't drink alcohol, but I figured I'd try it.
No, it's all right. I mean, I want them to be different because they're not the same. So yeah, there's different things as far as being a mom. Of course, you don't want them to do certain things. You don't want them to get in a car with, you know, with a bunch of kids or somebody that doesn't really have their license. You know, there's safety issues, but am I worried about that? No, I'm not worried about that because it's just they're going to learn. They're going to do things always that they're going to have to learn from.
Sure.
And I wish I would have been better when they were younger at really fostering and nurturing that. You know, you're going to make decisions and do things. You're going to learn from them. We are going to learn from them. I try to tell them that. I try to help them see how I've learned as a mom, and you know, but they're going to learn. I'm not worried about them being different. They should be different. So if you should be different, this is what different looks like. You have to have your own internal gauge of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and run it through that. You know, just because it's not something anybody else has done is not bad. It's fine, but run it through your values, and run it through what you know you believe. And if it makes it through, give it a shot. What did you learn? You know, what did you learn from that?
So do you teach that process then? Is that something that you're big on as a parent, like teaching the process of understanding that this is something that is okay to be different in, and like this is something that does not?
There is not, in my mind, there's not a process to that. As far as a process, I think when I think of processes, I think of systems. You know, I don't know that. I'm sure there is a process, but issues, topics. You know, there are things like that we talk about. You know, what do you think about this topic? Okay, what do we believe? What do you believe about that? What do we? Well, you know, and we have good conversations like that. Well, what do you think about this topic, with regard to friends or peer pressure or just things that are different in the world? You know, what do you think about that? Why do you think that? It's always, why? Why do you think that? Can you put a finger on why? You know, that's because if they can justify it, then that's how they make sense of things. And they're going to make sense of things differently than I did, because things are different for them now than they were for me when I was young, you know, for a lot of reasons. So
that was one of my questions I had for you is, I mean, raising kids now versus being a kid and being raised a couple decades ago. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing kids now that was not present 20 years ago?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the biggest, but the one that stands out to me is just how things, how many more things are available to them than were to us. You know, let's just say cell phones.
Sure.
Okay. That wasn't a thing. I mean, I think I was 14 when I got my first phone, or 15, or I don't know, something. Doesn't matter. But it didn't have all the capabilities that phones have now. There's all sorts of, they have access to anything they could ever want to know. All such information's available to them. That's the biggest thing that I think about right now that wasn't available to me so much. It was really just starting to, information was just starting to become easy to come by when I was a teenager. So they've had that always. Anytime they ever have a question, they can find out whatever pops up on their Google search.
Good or bad.
Yeah, right. And so that's something you have to teach them, because they don't know. They're not doing that. They're just curious kids. Kids are curious. That's not changed. Kids are the same as far as that goes. They're still curious. Yeah. They're still, they're still trying to make sense of the world. They're not the same, but what they have available to them is different. So you have to take that, know that about kids. And
seems like they're not trying to just make sense of like a microcosm of the world that is their hometown. Now they're trying to like figure out the whole world.
Yeah. Or, what do these people say about this far away? Yeah. They have a more global perspective than we did, which is good. And it cannot be good if you don't.
A lot of voices.
If there's stuff you don't want them to know about. So you have to help them make sense of that, I think, because ultimately they're going to be adults with their own families, raising their own kids, being leaders, and they're going to have to figure that out for themselves. So
to me, it just emphasizes, as you were talking about, like asking your kids question, what I saw in that is like whether you recognize it as like a process or not, you're teaching them a process of like, take the topic,
right,
filter it through your system of belief, and then you have your
Your answer. And what if you still have questions, though? Your answer may not be answers. Your answer may be questions.
Another question,
yeah, another question, and that's okay. So we have a lot of options to learn new things. How are you going to answer that question next?
So I think that process is so important today because there are so many questions and there are so many voices that give an answer. But is it the answer that is for your life?
Yep. And letting them figure that out. That's really, really hard as a parent because you know what you want them to say. You know what you want them to tell people because it's what you believe and what you value. But you have to help them find that in them, inside of them, because that's what's going to last. It's not going to be me in them. It's going to be what do they have to come up with that on their own.
It's like not living their life for them.
But it's hard.
But guiding them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's being alongside them every step of the way. But and I'm not good at that all the time. I'm just not. There's things I want to say to them that sometimes I say and I shouldn't. You can't. I don't know. You can't. Anything that starts with you can't.
Watch me.
Yeah. Right. And I've been cautious of that just because I know how that is in me.
Yeah.
I know what that's like in me. And that's a different spin that I maybe bring to the table and to my kids that I, didn't really have when I was growing up. I'm very leery to say you can't. It's like, why would you want to or why would you not want to? Not you can't, because watch out. They could say, watch me do that. So anyway.
Oh, man. How do you...
I like that. I'll actually say, to me, I would give credit to my parents because I feel like that was their approach in raising us. And there were you can'ts. There were definitely things that we knew were non-negotiable. We're not going to do this because we will die.
Yeah.
So there were things
absolutely.
we didn't do.
Yep.
But they did not usually leave it at you can't do it because we said you can't do it.
Right.
They always brought us through the process of this is why that's a bad decision.
Right.
Or it'd be you can, but
right. Exactly.
you're going to have to deal with the fallout.
Right. Or what if you did fill in the blank? What if you didn't?
Right.
Just having them make their own assessment. You can't this. Why? Okay, so what if you did? I mean, just they have to.
Yeah.
It's developing critical thinking.
Yep, helping them because that continuously helps them know what's in their core. Helping them see who God created them to be in their core. That's what those questions do.
Yeah. And I hear when, this is what I am feeling or thinking right now, is if I were to ask you, if I'm 10 years old and I ask you, why can't I do this? And you say, because I said so. That completely shuts down my ability to creative think. And I no longer have the ability to choose or to see what would be better or what would be worse in a given situation. And
I would say that just Carol Dweck's work, honestly, made me as a mom change, you can't do that because I said so, to why would you not want to do that? It made me, the question literally isn't that different, but it to a kid means so much. It adds value to their life. Why would you not want to do this? I mean, just twisting that. You can't do this. Why? Why can't you do this? You can't do this because I said. I mean, it's not that different. The words are not that different, but they have very different consequences for them and in the process of them learning and growing.
I think that's a very valuable experience.
One skips to the answer without developing the process. The other takes you through the process. And
the process takes a lot of time. So as a mom, when I'm busy, you just can't do that because I said so. That it's like so much easier to do. And I've got, and I have all these boxes to check. I have all these things to do. I do not have time right now because it's not actually on my list to help you figure out why you shouldn't do that. I don't have time. You just got to trust me. Well, yes, they do. Your kids are going to trust you. Kids trust their teachers. But we have to their teacher's not going to be there forever, and neither are their parents. So
it's almost like, I mean, that takes a lot of energy to go into that every time. It says, well, why can't I do this? And then to have to go through that process, who knows how long that's going to take to come to a resolution. That's a lot of energy. We talk about the resources is something universal. You have to manage time, energy, money, but your time is the only non-renewable resource is time. So if you spend your time and your energy on that, how exhausting is that?
Well, of course it is, but it has way more lasting value.
That's why it's called training and not directing, right?
Right.
Training is a time-intensive task. Training someone how to hit a baseball takes time.
But it's an investment into a skill.
Right.
That should save you time and energy in the future. Safe to say. So it's worth it.
It's worth it. Those are the things in my experience as a mom that I spend more time on that than I used to.
Right on.
Does that translate into teaching as well?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely into teaching in so many ways. So many ways.
You taught 3rd grade, 5th grade.
Not 5th.
Not 5th.
I have taught 1st, 2nd, and 3rd full time. I've subbed as far as, from kindergarten to comp, senior.
All ages.
All ages.
Who's the hardest to corral?
It depends on if you're a sub, it's hard to corral kids for a sub.
Kids like 4th grade and under.
Like any grade.
Any grade.
Any grade. If you're if you're not the teacher, you have an uphill battle. If you are the teacher, I don't know. There's not really easier, harder, better, worse. There just isn't. They're
just different.
Yep, they're different. You build a relationship with them, and that's job number one. And once that's done, you have a nice little family. So,
what's it like as a teacher having a new group of 20 or 25 or whatever students every year, and like just seeing them come, seeing them grow, seeing them go?
So it's exhausting at the beginning of the year to grow, to build relationships with each other, because the only way that you're going to go fast or go far is if you have that solid, and that takes time. That takes time to build. So there's not a lot. You really have to be intentional on, okay, our academics aren't going to go as quick at the beginning as we maybe want them to, because we need to all get to know each other. We've got to like each other. We have to respect each other. Those are things that you have to do at the beginning of the year. So then when they go, that's what leaves you. You leave relationships, you leave experiences, you're sending your family off. And the awesome thing about being a teacher with kids is you get to bring their parents with you in that journey. And that's the best joy that I have, is just being a partner with families in the learning for their child. That's because, so it's not just the 20 kids in your room, it's all their families too. And that gives me goosebumps, actually. That's really fun
awesome
to do. Yeah.
That's the aspect about your job that you enjoy the most. That's what you're most passionate about.
Well, I just like coming together.
Yeah.
Just coming together, knowing that, you have, you can trust each other, you can grow, you're going to learn, you're going to maybe struggle, but together, because that unit is better than you by yourself. Just building that's the best part. My job's a little different now because I work a lot more with teachers than kids, not so much with kids, as I used to, but the aspect of it is still the same. It's the same. You bring people together, you work together, you realize that everybody has something different to contribute. Everybody has something that of great value to bring to the table, and together we're better together.
Are you more of an extrovert? than an introvert?
Yeah, I would say. For
You
the
like-
most part.
You like the party.
Yeah. I like people.
Isaac and I were down here working on the setup, just getting things ready on the new bird's eye camera. Have you tried it out once or twice?
No, but do you want me to? Let's do
Yeah,
it.
at some point, just to
I'm
show
gonna
the.
do it.
I think it's cool.
This
We
is
were
the new camera.
Yeah, you came down. I mean, some new people that you haven't really gotten to know super close. You're just upstairs in the kitchen chumming it up.
Yeah. You guys were down here. I was like, yeah, I'm out. Number one.
Yeah.
Number one, they're a bunch of boys. Number two, it's a bunch of technology. And not that I love hanging out with you guys and talking to you, but there was a baby upstairs. There was coffee. There were girls. I was like, yep,
That's
see
the
ya.
party.
Figure this out yourself. Come get me when you're ready. I'm out. So I appreciate that.
But is there a part of your heart that's like, I'm going to go find a corner and just not talk to anybody? That's not you.
Yeah, there is
It
a piece
can
of
be
me.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep. When I worked in Perry, this was when we had our boys. I just brand new teacher, worked in Perry. It was different for me to work in a town that I didn't live in, because I've lived here, in Jefferson about my whole life. So that was really different. So when I came to Jefferson, I didn't know kids. I knew the kids in Perry, and I would say I didn't mind that. I didn't mind being able to go to the pool and nobody was saying, "Hey, Mrs. Hinote, Mrs. Hinote." When I started working in Jefferson, though, I realized, you know what I really want? I wanted that. It wasn't like I do like to be alone and be in my own space, but and I enjoyed that for that short season. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was okay. It wasn't terrible, I guess. I didn't really know what it would be like, so It was okay.
Yep.
But I like seeing people wherever I go. I like talking to them. I like seeing their families. I love seeing kids, and I'm everywhere. I'm not invisible here, and it doesn't matter where I am, and people know me. Mrs. Hinote. It's nice.
I like that too. I got that coming back home that I didn't have later.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I noticed until like right this moment that as I'm hearing you talk about that I have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which.
And the thing is too, it's like, I think you just make the best out of whatever it is. It was fine for me to work out of town. Mm-hmm. I really served the kids in Perry, just like I would have served them here, but it was really exciting to come home too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, you've mentioned like you go to Winterset and you walk into the hardware store and it's like there's people from history.
Yeah.
And you come here and you don't, like, you've been here a year and 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that hasn't quite developed
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like spheres of, influence and
yeah.
Each other and stuff. But yeah, it's not like I can just walk into any store in Jefferson and like I know people. Yeah.
Is it
Actually, when people find out who I'm related to, then it's like, oh, you're his nephew.
Yeah, right.
That's what I usually hear.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's because when it's a small town, people know people.
Yeah.
People know people.
So it's, when they know people, then they feel like they know you.
Right.
That's just small town.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like for me, having classmates, children, like adults, classmates I graduated with. I'm not sure how to say that.
People that you graduated with.
People I graduated
kids
with.
these days.
Yeah.
All those 30-year-old kids running around.
Right. Oh yeah. They're older than 30. I won't say. I will keep everybody that graduated with me.
Safe.
We'll keep our age safe. But it's fun to have their kids. And it's like so about their kids because you know about them.
Oh wow.
It's so cool. I know how to handle this child, or I know what's going to be really good for them, or what could not be. I would never do this to them because, I just know stuff about your family, and that way isn't going to work. So we're going to go this way. That's really cool, and it helps being a partner. But kids and families, you can be a partner way easier when you know them. Yeah. So
there's a lot of people I wouldn't trust with that information, but I feel like you're a person that is trustworthy to withhold that information and do justice with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to build trust as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you build it by just being real. I mean, you know,
Being real.
Yeah.
You don't really like rules very much. True. I think you said that yesterday. You said it pretty defiantly. Do you remember?
Isaac's like, I don't know.
He's staying
her.
out of this one.
I don't know her very well. I mean, I
Oh,
kind of do.
come on.
I'm just listening.
I'm listening. Rule.
Anyway.
The word rule makes me raise my eyebrows a little. Now I know they're necessary, and I know they're necessary.
Some are.
Some are.
But you prefer to not have them so that you have teachable
It
growth
makes
moments.
it makes that process easier without rules.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain them when they can't come to their why on their own because there's a rule.
Right.
So
What is a rule, really? I mean, isn't it just a warning of, if you do this, this is not going to end well for you?
yeah.
I mean, it's like an alert of consequence before consequence happens, right?
Yes, it is.
So maybe, I don't know.
And if kids come up with their own assessment of that, it's gonna last longer with them than it would be if it was just a directive. So that would be my hang up with rules. But like I said, I know they're needed.
But it's better if a kid can define a rule for themselves that is a safe and good and moral rule versus having one being dictated for them.
It will last.
So it's self-governance is better than a dictatorship.
Yeah, it's going to help them. It's going to help them figure out who they are in their core.
Sure. Which there's dangers to that, but it's dangers that you're willing to accept.
Well, that's why you have 18 years, I think. You know, you have time to work that out.
Sure.
And then, you know, you're not going to go away, but they're just ready. They're ready to try more things on their own.
I think there's a place for both of those. I think where there's that more like intimate, personal, like training relationship, mentor relationship, I think that's the place to give more explanation than rule. But I think there are situations where, I mean, like if you have 25 kids, I mean, I suppose you could like go over the rules when you set them and say like, this is why all of these things are the way that they are. But like, I don't know, maybe you can work through each, but.
One of the processes at the beginning of a school year with kids is I don't have rules. It's one of the ways we build community. We come up with them.
It's kind of like a set of guidelines rather than rules.
Well, and you just ask questions like, what would make this place the best place you would want to be?
Yeah.
What would make this place a place that you would want to come every day? What would we do? How would we talk? How would we behave? You know, you pose it like that. Yeah, my first year of teaching, I had a list of rules, and I went over them.
How'd that go?
Well, I mean, of course it doesn't go well, but there was so many things I learned in that first year. I was just trying to survive, just like every teacher. Every first year teacher, I feel you. I know what it's like. You just try to survive. I mean, you don't, but once you start having that different perspective of, you know, this is really something we need to do together as a community, you really don't know how to do it. So then that kind of fails too. You know, you're like, well, I know I shouldn't be the one to dictate these rules, but I'm not really sure how to build that community. So, you know, it's a growing learning process. And after a while you get good at it. And your rules are the same every year. Your rules are not different. The kids say the same things every year, but it's way more valuable when they're the ones that are speaking that and they're providing the why.
They've got ownership.
Yeah. Why would it be better for us to take turns to talk? Why is that better? Well, we want to hear everybody. Okay. So, you know, you go back to that. Okay, hold up. You know, this is getting a little out of control. Why is it better to take turns? Oh, we want to hear everybody. Why do we want to hear everybody? Well, because we all have something important we have something of value to offer. We have something of value to offer. Yes, you're right. Okay. Take us back to that.
Very powerful.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a thought flash that kind of reminds me of marriage in a way. Like, you got married really young, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like how young?
18. Same year I graduated.
Was there someone, in a way, you leave your father and mother and you become one flesh with another. Like you left your family establishment that had guidelines and rules set for you, and then you went out and made your own? Or did you have a mentoree relationship with someone?
On what my marriage was supposed to be like?
Yeah, that or just life direction. Because then you were, you went for it.
Well, and that's something that you learn and grow together, and you sometimes don't even know what you're going to learn and grow until you get there. And then now what, and then now what? But I've had really mentors that are wives, moms, that have kind of, you just confide in them and they help you learn, like, this is what it means to be a wife. This is what,
There were lots of those along the way.
I've had, here, I don't know, lots. I would say no. Could I put a number on it? No. I think 2 in my mind, but I know there's way more than 2. I know there's more than 2. 2 would limit, I don't want to put value on every little thing somebody has spoke to me that I've taken and applied, and it's been true and good. It's been valuable. That's a mentor, whether it's one word, one conversation, whatever. It's if it's added value, it's been good. So
I've got this like funny image in my mind right now because I'm getting married in 2 months, and I'm just thinking about us like sitting down, like get back from the honeymoon and like having a first grade orientation meeting. Like, so what should our rules be?
You and Taylor and Titus sitting
why
in a
should
circle.
we do that, Titus? Why should we not?
All right, so you give that a shot.
Yeah, right.
See how that works.
Play it out.
Yep. Let us all know how that
Maybe
goes. It's not really rules. It's just what,
Guidelines.
Yeah. Like, well, I don't know what values. See, to me, those are better words than rules and guidelines.
Sure.
What values do we have? Filter everything through that.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I'm with you.
anyway,
Values.
What do you value?
Is there a movie or a book or another media source that has been especially influential? Pop culture-ish, because this is beyond pop culture. That's not pop culture. That's
No. I don't know. I right now I spend a lot of time reading to learn. Like things like mindset, a lot of just professional learning. There's a lot that I need to do. Nothing really. I don't know. I listen to a lot of worship music.
Yeah.
Actually, that's my jam.
influential.
Yep. I put that in as much as I can. So
Just a reset. Keep you
it's-
on.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite worship band? Or like 3?
Oh boy. Favorite worship band. I anything Hillsong, Elevation Worship, anything like that I'm listening to. My husband's been listening a lot to Corey Asbury. Oh boy.
Little Reckless Love.
Love it.
Oh man. And a lot. Canyons is actually one of his favorite songs. Just the words, they're so good. So we've been jamming to that. The kids are loving some Corey Asbury too. So that's fun.
What's food night at the Hinote house like?
If the kids were to choose, it would be snacks, probably. If Josh and I were to choose, it would be chili.
Chili.
We like, well, and nobody in our house likes it.
Really?
No, really. So we just make ourselves some chili and just go nuts. And we're like, y'all are going to fend for yourselves. It's chili night.
Go eat your snacks.
Yeah. Go eat your snacks
Go
by
eat your
yourselves.
snacks. Right. It's pretty funny.
Do you say hot dish or casserole?
Those are different things, Philip.
I definitely say casserole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let me tell you, when I am ornery, I'm not ornery very much. Okay? Let me just say that for the record. Put that out on the airwaves. When I'm ornery and the kids ask, Mom, what's for supper? And I say casserole. Their reaction, I love it.
Like, ugh.
Oh, Mom. It's so often I kind of say casserole a lot. I just want to see what they're going to do.
Do you ever deliver and give them a casserole?
I give them casserole, yeah. And they don't love it.
Oh,
Mom,
man.
can we please have peanut butter sandwich? Eat some of your casserole first. And Grace
That is
hates
funny.
Grace hates potatoes, so if she asks me what's for supper, potatoes. But I don't
Only
do that
potatoes.
but I don't do that very often because I'm not ornery very often.
Right.
Maybe
Or
she'll grow out of that.
sarcastic. What?
Maybe she'll grow out of that.
Maybe she'll grow out of
This is
that.
Iowa. You can't get
Yeah.
away
See.
from potatoes.
Exactly.
The vacation, do you guys go on an annual or
We have tried to, yes.
Yeah?
Yep. Well, and this year we're going back to Gulf Shores, Alabama. We were just there last year, and the kids loved it.
Nice.
Stayed in a house on the beach, so we're doing that again.
Verbo? Airbnb?
We did.
Verbo?
Yep.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think I remember that.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like the beach.
Same.
You aren't you going to Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where I want to go next with our family. We don't have that many left in my mind with Noah being young and home, or either.
14.
Yeah, he'll be 14
Yeah,
next
you've
week.
got 4 to 5 years until he
Mhm. Yep.
goes somewhere.
So Colorado will be on our list.
Sure.
Nice. Yeah.
That'll
I'm
be fun.
a huge believer in just like the annual vacation.
Yeah.
Take the week
Yep.
and then get out of Dodge.
Mhm.
I think everyone should.
Yep.
I even have a separate savings account. It's called the fun account.
Mhm.
This is one thing as we talk about resources and time, energy, money is, I want to be able to go do things at a drop of a hat.
Mhm.
So I have money that it's like $50 a week, if that, but it auto goes
Yeah.
into this separate account. So it's like,
There it
Pretty sure-
is.
pretty sure today we're going to Des Moines and we're going to go have some food,
Good.
might buy some shoes, and it's going to come out of that account.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know it's always there.
Yep.
Yep. It's important to do
Yeah.
that.
Fun money.
Fun money,
Yep.
fun account. That's one of my money tricks or tips or whatnot.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Do you wear Nikes, Asics, Brooks, Hokas?
Asics.
Really?
Mhm. The Keanu.
You haven't shifted
No, I'm
into
no.
no.
Nope. I'll be in a Keanu probably until they don't make them.
Oh, okay.
Good. You gotta have good shoes.
It's a good shoe.
Shoes and bed and a pillow. Gotta have good. That's what you gotta have. People come in and it's like chronic over and over again. How are your shoes? Is your bed new? Do you need a new one?
Mm-hmm.
Are you using a
pillow?
crappy pillow from
Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Gotta upgrade.
I'm not feeling that yet. I'd rather have Asics.
That's fair.
So
That's
there you
fair.
go.
Man.
Favorite animated movie?
I don't know how to choose. I don't know if it's The Lion King or The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast.
The oldies. None of the newbies.
Not really. What movie do I don't mind. There was a new one that I don't mind. Moana. Kind of like
Oh,
that one.
Yeah, that one's cute.
It's so cute. Yeah. Anything animated.
Yeah. Do you like,
I'll stay awake for the whole thing.
there you go. Do you like Disney or Pixar more?
Disney.
Okay.
Yeah.
So James Bond, Mission Impossible. Yeah. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
But you
yeah, I'll
throw
fall
on,
asleep.
Lion King, and you're
The Lion-
there.
Lion
Mhm,
King.
mhm. I did fall asleep during Beauty and the Beast last Saturday, and I was really sad about that because I really wanted to see the end. I love the end.
That's awesome.
Did you go to the play?
Yes, we went Friday to the play. We were mourning not going to the play Saturday, so we decided to watch the movie.
Nice.
And then I fell asleep. I was very disappointed in
Shoot.
myself. The boys went to the basketball game. A couple of the boys
Mm.
went to a state basketball game. So
Nice.
the girls and I were
Girls.
watching Beauty and the Beast.
Nice.
What do you think of all the live action renditions of the old Disney movies?
We don't love them.
Mm.
We don't love them. We even started the Beauty and the Beast live action one. And Grace was covering her eyes. Mom, this is scary. You know, the very
Beast
first
probably
scene.
looks a lot scarier.
Yeah, the very first scene. I'm like, okay, we'll go back to the other one.
Yeah.
So
A little bit safer.
yeah, it was
A little
safer.
more reserved. Yeah,
Yep.
it's good. Man, we crushed it.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. If you, the 15-second, what's the one thing about life you want everyone to know?
That you have a purpose. You
Boom.
have a purpose. You are valuable.
Love it.
Good words.
One thing you do to protect your health on a daily basis.
Drink coffee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
With you.
Cheers.
Okay, that was slightly sarcastic. Water.
Water.
Actually,
Drink water.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. It's good.
And
water
coffee.
Water and
And
coffee.
It's just bean water.
Yeah.
That's right. It is. There you go.
It is. It is. Well, you should outro us. And
Okay.
yeah, very happy to have you
Yeah.
here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
This
for
was
coming.
fun.
It's awesome. Episode 8. We're a wrap. He's Isaac.
He's Philip.
That was Mrs. Hinote.
This is Hinote.
And this has been Unfiltered.
Thanks for being here with us.